And start. Okay. Greetings, brothers. I am Christopher Michael Cooper II of the Voter Registration, Education, and Mobilization Initiative. Of course, I am made in the Mu Iota chapter 2005. I'm currently a member at Delta Alpha. I'm also the chairman of the VREM team for the 4th District. This evening, we will have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Jeff Crossman. He is a Democrat. He is running for an office that is very vital to our brotherhood. So, thank you, Mr. Crossman, for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I am going to give you the floor, brothers. I present to you Mr. Jeff Crossman, who's running for Attorney General. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I apologize I'm doing this on my phone tonight because
Quite
I
all
just
right.
step away from an event, but I wanted to make sure I spend a little time and tell you who I am, why I'm running for Attorney General, and what the office can and should be doing for Ohioans. My name is Jeff Crossman, as you said, and I've been serving in the Ohio legislature now for 2 terms. And before that, I was on city council in Parma, Ohio, Ohio's 7th largest city. And I've been practicing law for 21 years. I think that Ohio deserves people in leadership that, understand the experience of growing up in Ohio and what it's like to try to have to get ahead in some difficult circumstances. I was raised by a single mom in a very working class environment. We didn't have food in the house sometimes, which is why it's so important for me to volunteer my efforts with the Hunger Network here in Cleveland over the last 15 years. And so I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to be hungry, not just for food, but for an opportunity. And why I support public education so strongly is because I knew, growing up in my town of Wickliffe, Ohio, what an education meant. I think, nurturing a strong education system is important in Ohio to give people opportunities. I never thought I'd go to college, but was able to get it done and worked full time through college and worked full time and went to law school at night. And now I get the chance to serve my community. So decided to enter the Attorney General's race. Quite frankly, I'm just disgusted about the corruption and self-dealing in Columbus and the lack of sort of empathy what's going on in our state government. We can do far better
Okay.
and serve the people in Ohio. So.
Splendid. So I kind of want to take that comment right there and kind of pivot into my next question. I read about where that was your initial pledge to kind of clean up corruption and to deal with it. So I kind of wanted to ask you more specifically, what corruption is it that concerns you, and what's your plan of attack to deal with it?
We've had repeated corruption scandals in Ohio, starting, even 20 years ago. You had the CoinGate scandal, which was a few $1 million. And the most recent House Bill 6 scandal was $61 million in bribes paid to the Ohio House Speaker to secure a $1 billion bailout for First Energy. A bailout, by the way, we're still paying for to the tune of $267,000 every single day. I'd like to put an end to us paying those charges on your electric bill and actually form a section in the Attorney General's office that pays attention to state level, white collar corruption and make sure those folks are actually held accountable for what they're doing.
Okay. Okay. So is that kind of what compelled you to feel like you wanted to run, or were you going to run and then you noticed that this happened?
Well, I've been in the state house for 2 terms, and this scandal broke 2 years ago. 2 years later, no one has
Mhm.
actually been held accountable. I was the one that stood on the floor of the Ohio House and demanded leader Larry Householder be expelled because I thought he should be held accountable for his role in the largest public corruption scandal in the state's history.
Absolutely. Okay. So splendid, splendid. Now, I kind of want to further pivot, kind of down that same loop. We talk about accountability. One of the things that brothers all throughout the state tend to ask me is, or remind me of, is that far often we have Democrats who will come into the community and ask us to vote, and essentially because no one else ever really asked our vote, we do it. We support people. And then at some point in time, by the time that that candidate has kind of gone through his career, we tend to feel left out or overlooked. And so my question would be, if you wanted myself, a member of the Black community, we're all college educated, we're all voters. Um, why is my vote and my community's vote important? Why is it that we should get behind you? And even why should we get behind you versus the person you're competing with?
Right. So that's a fair question. First of all, I expect to be held accountable, and I think we all,
Hmm.
as residents of the state of Ohio, should be holding all of our elected officials accountable for the work they do. And there's nothing sadder to me than people that feel just sort of like disconnected with their government, or just like, you know, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. When I was on city council, when you'd go door to door city council, you talk to people and they say, well, what does it matter if I vote? That pothole still doesn't get filled. And I would say, yeah, you should be showing up and making sure I do my job, right? Because I can't serve you if I don't hear from you. So I expect to be held accountable in whatever office I hold, or if I don't hold office, if I'm trying to get office. If I get that office, you should hold me accountable.
Okay.
But look, I mean, the Attorney General's office, in terms of your community specifically, is viewed as the chief law enforcement officer in the state. We have an epidemic
Hmm.
of violence in this state, in our communities, and with the police. We've seen the police
Absolutely.
shootings time and time again, and you need someone that's going to be a leader, that's going to step into that void and actually provide leadership and bridge people together, not instead of causing wedges. And that's what I hope to do. I've met with the police departments, I've met with the FOP and the OPBA, the two police unions in the state, and I've told them that very thing, that I hope to be a bridge, because I'm tired of wedges and division.
Okay. I think that's excellent. And I commend you for doing that. I saw a lot of articles where you had a lot of opinions about redistricting. And for us, and of course, in our community, redistricting oftentimes it feels personal. It feels a type of disrespectful that I think is heightened when we think about what it takes as a community just to achieve things. And I saw that, the redistricting effort was very important to you. I saw that the internet is teeming with your opinion. And so I wanted to kind of give you a chance to talk about that and how you felt about it overall.
Well, thank you. First of all, I think gerrymandering, which is the process of basically silencing people that are in the minority, right? That's all
Hmm.
that is. It's about silencing people's voices. And so I feel very strongly that we should have representative government. And gerrymandering denies us the opportunity to have actual democracy, because you're basically guaranteeing certain people can win at the expense of others. So I think it's completely antithetical to what we're trying to accomplish in this country, which is have leaders that represent the people and do the work for the people. And you should live in a district, whether it's a U.S. congressional district or a state house or state senate district, that if your representative is not representing you and not serving your needs, you have the opportunity to get them out of office and put someone in there that's actually going to do the job to your liking. So that's why I feel so strongly about it. I think, look, this isn't, to me, it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. A lot of these things aren't right versus left, or just right versus wrong. And I
Hmm.
think that, having a district that represents the needs of the people. I mean, people are frustrated that this government's not working for them. They're right. Because of all this gerrymandering, they're being denied an opportunity to have a voice.
Okay. Absolutely. I concur with that. Completely agree. I want to kind of go into um, in the event that we're able to, interview your current peers or people that, as a lawyer that you've worked with, what would they tell us about you? How do you feel that they would express to us who they thought you were? What do you think that they would tell us?
Well, I think they would tell you that I mean what I say and I do what I mean and do what I say I'm going to do, and that I'm tenacious about it. Look, I mean, Larry Householder, again, the disgraced former Ohio House Speaker, was serving in the Ohio House, had been indicted, and refused to resign. And I went after him and said he needed to go. He needed to be expelled. And even though Democrats in my own caucus told me to leave it alone, I refused to accept that. And it was that tenacity and that sort of, I don't know, belief that I was in the right on moral grounds that he should be kicked out, is the reason why he got kicked out, quite frankly. And he became the first legislator in Ohio to have been expelled from the chamber since the Civil War. So I'm proud of that, because it represents sort of what I'm about, which is if I think something's the right thing to do, I don't care about the political issues involved. I mean, to me, it was
Hmm.
I didn't care if somebody attacked me because they thought I was being too political, or I was trying to somehow benefit. But to me, it was just the right thing to do. And if I feel it's the right thing to do, that's how I'm going to pursue things. And I think that's what people will tell you.
Okay, splendid. One of the things I kind of want to just kind of go into just a little bit here. Of course, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the newest decision with even Roe v. Wade. and hear potentially what could or could not be, illegal, and at the same time at the expense. Is it being done at the expense of human lives or even opportunity? I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, and what if you should, when you win, we're going to say when you win, what we can expect from you in that regard on that issue.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I expect this issue to be on the ballot, and I expect a lot of these questions, issues to be coming to the fore because it's going to be put to the people for a vote. And what I hope to do as Attorney General is to make sure that the process of democracy actually works, that there aren't any hurdles or illegal obstacles placed in the people's way of getting it on the ballot and having this issue decided by the voters ultimately. On the issue of abortion or reproductive freedom in general, which reproductive freedom is to me the more general, broader term, abortion care being part of it. I think, Roe v. Wade got overturned because we have been subjected to 50 years of misinformation about what it means to have an abortion. Abortion is healthcare. There are issues that I'm not a woman. I don't understand all the ins and outs of how a woman's body works. I'm not a doctor either. But there are instances that require the type of care that is characterized as abortion. And we have been, like I said, subjected to misinformation. So I think, we have to support choice. We have to support doctors having the freedom to make decisions that are in the best interest in the health of the mothers and their families. And I trust people to make these decisions in consultation with their doctors, and I don't think the government has a place in making those decisions.
Absolutely. And so, with that, I kind of want to just continue down that hole, but just a little bit differently. In the past, in your current capacity, do you have a track record or a history of even supporting initiatives that were truly, truly important to us here in my community?
Yeah, I can tell you that, we support, I was on the criminal justice committee in the Ohio House, and we were trying to
Mhm.
support initiatives that would, criminal justice reform being a big important topic for me. For example, I proposed legislation that would have changed the way Ohio investigators and police handle investigations and interrogations, because I've
Okay.
seen what happens when, you can look at the Central Park Five as an example of what happens
Mhm.
when children are lied to. So basically, my bill would have prevented prosecutors and people to secure a confession, because we know that is particularly towards juveniles, right? It results in coercive confessions and false confessions and false convictions. So that's an issue of importance to me. I think I also proposed legislation that would automatically have expunged very low level nonviolent criminal convictions. I think that would give people opportunities. And again, look, a lot of these issues impact communities of color more than any other community. Because they're over
Mhm.
policed or for whatever reason. And also finally on the guns issue, I oppose stand your ground. I think because we know what happens with stand your ground. It's communities of color that often suffer more violence because of those types of bills. So these are all issues
Absolutely.
important to me and things that I want to see happen here in Ohio.
Excellent. So, when you win, they always ask a president, "What are you going to do in your first 30 days?" But when you win, what do you think would be your key initiative, the primary thing that you want to take care of first?
Well, first and foremost, I want to start a public corruption task force that really looks at state level corruption and roots it out, because it holds back our state. And I actually, by the way, I met the attorney general for the state of Illinois, who was kind of joking with me. He said, "How is it that Ohio has now become number one in the country over Illinois? Because we ended up putting governors in prison." I said, "That's the difference, really." He was joking and I was being serious. I said, "That's the
Mhm.
difference. You guys have accountability. You put governors in prison. People need to be held accountable for that." So that's day one. And the other thing that I think we need to do. There's been a lot of lawsuits filed by the current attorney general that are really politically motivated lawsuits, trying to overturn the Affordable Care Act, trying to overturn the 2020 election. Going after the LGBTQ youth in the state of Ohio by challenging the federal government's guidance on discrimination for LGBTQ youth. Those political lawsuits will be dismissed. They have to be dismissed because they're a waste of state taxpayer dollars, and they don't actually activate. They're not lawsuits designed to benefit all the people in Ohio. And as Attorney General, you're supposed to represent all the people, not just the people you agree with politically.
Okay, excellent. So I want to kind of go into our last questions here. As we get closer to November, of course, we will start to see more commercials. I'm sure we'll see some of the commercials where you will be a champion, and we will see other commercials where if we should let you win, it'll be Armageddon. Half of the planet's going to disappear in a snap. And while you have our attention, what would you like us to remember about you when we go to vote?
Well, that I'm just like everybody else here in the state. I was born in humble circumstances. I earned everything I got in my life. And I also understand everybody else wants the same opportunities I had, which is an opportunity to get ahead in life without any other undue obstacles in the way. That I mean what I say, that I do what I say I'm going to do, and that I'm sincere about it. So I'm Ohioan through and through, born and raised here, and just want to serve my community.
Okay, excellent. And so with that, I want to wrap it up here, but I want to make sure we give you this last few minutes just to make sure that if there's anything else that you would like to spread to the Brotherhood, like I said, we're going to send this out first to the brothers in Cleveland. Chapter Zeta Omega is our largest and most influential chapter within the district. Then from there, we will send it out to the district. That will probably happen Monday morning. And then, of course, we are an international organization. We will make it available to them Monday afternoon. With that, there are many of us who come through Ohio who are Ohio residents who will be back to vote. Some are serving in the military. They will be mailing votes in, and then some just, they're working, they're moving around, but they'll be here in November. If there's anything you'd like to say to them and anyone else that will be watching, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I'll just say this. First of all, thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it, sincerely. And I'll say this: this year is a critical election in Ohio. We've had 40 years of one-party rule in the state, absent a few years where Democrats controlled things in the mid-2000s, and we see lost jobs, we see our schools undermined, we see corruption, we see it everywhere, and it's on the wrong track. It's not what's happening in DC that's affecting it. It's what's happening in Columbus. And if you want change, you got to put new people in there, and that's why I'm running. So please vote. Please encourage others to get out there and vote, because it does matter. Like I said, I've seen a lot of sort of disenchantment with people voting, and as John Lewis often said, your best way to make change happen is to vote. So I'd get out and vote and make sure other people do as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out. If there's any other opportunities we get in the future, we certainly look forward to it. But thank you for all the information that you shared with us, sir. Grace and peace from Omega. Yes, sir.
God bless.
Thank you.
Take care.